All right, Justin, let's talk about Corey Ballentine going into his second year in the NFL. He's 5'11", 196 pounds, 24 years old, was taken with the 180th overall pick in the 2019 draft in the 6th round. Justin, he had an impressive combine where he ran a 4.47 40, 39.5-inch vertical jump. We didn't see it, but supposedly he really impressed in the pro day practice or the senior bowl practices. I like Ballentine. I was actually for the move, and even in hindsight, I was cool with him being brought in to bench Grant Haley in the slot because Grant Haley obviously isn't really a long-term option anywhere at corner. Even though he's not a nickel corner, I was fine at that. And I knew he would struggle. And it was an example of you're later in the year, let the kids play. He struggled though. His opponent's stats were 27 for 42, 64.3%, 393 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions on 27% of the snaps. So definitely not good. Justin, as we record this, he is the starting corner on the outside. I think some of the beat reporters are hinting at it. Logan Ryan is probably going to play in the slot, which means Corey Ballentine will start. I like Corey Ballentine. I think he has potential, but I do think he'll struggle in year 2.
Yeah, the Chicago game was arguably the worst game that he had last year. Pretty much any time he allowed a completion, it was a big completion. His yards per completion was almost 15 yards. His average depth of target that when he was targeted on defense was around almost 12 yards. So, Bobby, he was put into a very tough situation. Number one, because he was a 6th-round pick, and you can make an argument that he shouldn't have even been playing in the first place because we just had very bad cornerback depth last year, and also we chose to cut our number 1 corner because he said a bad word. Number 2, he was also playing out of position. He did not really play slot corner in college. He was more natural. He was more natural outside boundary corner than he was a slot corner. Yes, he has the speed. Yes, he showed some promising things in the preseason in terms of his ball skills. Had an interception in the preseason, I believe, so that gave you promise. But, Bobby, it's just a matter of when you're out there and you're getting your ass kicked and you're losing while you're trying to learn. That's and you're also not even playing your natural position. That's just such a tough thing to do. It's a tough spot to be in for a kid that you can make an argument that wasn't even ready to be out there in the first place. All of those combinations create a beautiful disaster.
And he was screwed by James Betcher, who just left him at slot. You didn't let Janoris Jenkins follow anybody. So the Packers and the Bears, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, 2 really good wide receivers, they put him in the slot, and they went to work on him because those guys go to work on everybody, let alone a 6th-round rookie who was playing in the nickel spot. And I was fine with him playing the nickel spot, but what I wasn't fine was with not having Janoris Jenkins follow those guys in the slot. So that's something we trust Patrick Graham will change. We won't have Corey Ballentine for the most part. There's times where you can't avoid it. But Corey Ballentine going up against number 1 wide receivers for entire drives like James Betcher put him into. So that is where there's a little hope right there. Like you said, he has the speed. I like him on the outside as a press corner. And, like you said, has some decent ball skills. I like what I see out of Corey Ballentine. But, like I said, I think he will struggle this year because he's going into his 2nd year. Not to say that he won't become a good player. I have some faith in it. I think he has all the talent to become a good player. But year 2, there will be some struggles.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that how much is he going to struggle? That's really the $1 million question, because you could be looking at a singular spot on this Giants secondary. Logan Ryan and Darnay Holmes, they could be doing whatever, splitting time at the slot corner. You maybe feel good about that combination. Logan Ryan is maybe at times being a number 3 safety as well, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think Logan Ryan should be a boundary corner, but we're talking about Corey Ballentine. You feel good about James Bradbury. You feel good about our safeties, but it's just a matter of there could be one spot in a secondary, and offensive coordinators and really good offensive minds in today's NFL, they're smart enough where if they see it that there's a weak point in your defense, they're going to target that weak point over and over and over again until a defensive coordinator can find some way to adjust and make that better. So that is the one thing that I'm really worried about. In a passing league where it's so easy to take advantage of weak points in a defense, and we've seen that on this Giants defense. I'm worried for Corey Ballentine being at CB2.
But when you have Logan Ryan, when you have James Bradberry, it's a lot easier to hide one guy than two guys. And that was the worry before Logan Ryan went. It's like we got two young guys out there who are going to struggle. So I get that you can attack a weak spot, but if you're a good defensive coordinator, you know where your weak spot is, and you put a safety over the top. You put him in some more and more underneath coverage than just one-on-one man stuff, and you pick and choose your battles. So I get what you're saying. He is the weakest spot of the secondary, but that doesn't mean it just cripples the whole defense where two different guys would cripple the defense. Where, DeAndre Baker had some rookie struggles to start the season, and you had Ballentine and Haley in the slot. So it's like, okay, we can just hit one side of the field, especially when James Betcher didn't have his best corner following the best wide receiver around the field. So I get it, but I think Logan Ryan being added changes the way you view this defense, because it's not, oh, we're so screwed. We got two corners that are young and are going to get picked on. Whereas now, yeah, Ballentine, I'm not saying Ballentine's not going to have bad moments, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as if we didn't get Logan Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have faith in Ballentine to eventually grow into a player.
Yeah. I'm just reflecting on his now again 2019 Pro Football Reference page, 27% of the snaps, so let's call that 30%, and let's call 42 targets 40 for the sake of quick math. If he played 60% of the defensive snaps, he was on pace to basically get 80 targets. That's not good. So we're hoping to see growth. We're hoping to see growth over time. Year 2 jump. He has a year. He got his feet wet. He didn't play 80% of the snaps and struggled in 80%. He played 27% of the snaps partially in a position that he was not supposed to be playing for in the first place. So hopefully he can take those steps up, and hopefully Graham could do a good enough job of scheming. If Ballentine's going to be the cornerback number 2 and we don't bring in another veteran, hopefully we can do a good enough job where that one little weak point isn't the thing that totally cripples the defense, like you said.
Yeah, and rookie corners are going to struggle. It's a hard position to transition to. Like you said, he's out of the position. So Ballentine's rookie year doesn't have me down on him at all. I just know that he will have some struggles in year 2 because of what I think of him as a player. Not to say that he won't eventually be a good player, but when we say that he is the weak spot, it really has nothing to do with his rookie season, because I expected that and I was okay with that. I wasn't pissed off at Corey Ballentine where I was at Grant Haley. I was totally fine with the way Corey Ballentine was, because I knew it was a losing situation, and it was at that point of the year where you had that let the kids play mentality. So I know this sounds kind of negative on Ballentine, but I don't view Ballentine negatively. I do want to bring in Prince or somebody else and let him be depth in year 2. And if he can beat that guy out, let him beat him out. But I view Corey Ballentine with a positive view.
I just hope he's not a starter. I view him as a very good depth piece. I hope we bring in another corner.
So Corey Ballentine, we love you. That's a player profile and projection. We'll be back tomorrow with Daniel Jones, the Daniel Jones episode. We'll see you then. Let's go Big Blue.